Okay, good afternoon, Humber College students, evening program learners. All right, here, this is what I want to try to talk about today. Right now is I'm in camera raw and I want to talk about presets. All right, we've kind of discussed this in class. Still, it's a little bit foggy for some people, so I thought I'd do this little video and see what we can come up with. All right, so I have done absolutely nothing to this image at this point in time. You can see there are no adjustments in here. There are no adjustments in here. Here are the defaults. I'm just going to click through here just so you can see that I have not done a darn thing to this at all, at all, at all. It's still Adobe Standard and that current, and I have some presets. All right, and right now what I've got selected is Camera Raw Defaults. And I strongly suggest that you create one that is Camera Raw Defaults. In other words, nothing is set, because you'll want to at some point go back to the starting and, start your clicking on your different presets to see the looks, and then you're going to say, I don't like that, and I want to go back to the beginning. So at least I've got a one-click, boom, gone off to the races for that. All right, now you can see that I have something called camera specific defaults. Well, I'm hoping it's camera specific anyways, but if I was to click on this, you'll see my image change drastically. All right, now if I was to go through all these, you'll see, and I'm just going to start here and back up that way, and I come into here and you can see I've left it at 2012, but I've put it to camera standard as opposed to Adobe standard. All right, I have done nothing in that tab. I have come in here and clicked on Enable Lens Profile, so it's picking up my lens that I'm using. I hope that's the lens that I was using. And then I can come into here, and I did nothing with split toning, and I've done nothing at all with any of the hue, saturation, or luminance stuff. Coming inside here, one thing I did, and I don't know if it's camera specific or it's just that's what I chose to demonstrate this stuff, but I set the amount of sharpening to 100. All right, more so for it to be obvious on screen and through the video than probably reality. But again, this was taken with my D2HS, so older technology requires a little more of a punch in the nose, so to speak. All right, or a slap in the head, kick in the butt, whatever. All right, so I'm going to come over here and click on this guy, and I don't know if you remember my rantings about the Process 2010, Process 2012, and I always thought that the 2012 was a little flat, and the obvious reason for that was that the contrast curve was set to linear. In other words, there was no areas greater than the dividing line and less than the dividing line. So using the medium contrast, I lightened the lights a little bit and darkened the darks a little bit, therefore creating a little bit of contrast from the 2012. So I'm leaving the 2012 on, but I'm getting the contrast that I'm used to having from the 2010 process. All right, enough said with that. If I come over here, you can also see that I have set up the clarity to be somewhat punchier than without any clarity. I have not done anything with as shot, nothing with any of those guys. So when I go back into the camera specific defaults over here, and I created a preset based on what I had there. All right, if I'm not mistaken, I had every checkbox in the list. If I come in here, if I'm not mistaken, I had every checkbox in the list set and clicked in there, so that when I choose this option, all right, my white balance goes back to what it was when I was over whatever that was, and I think it was as shot. So my white balance goes back to as shot. My exposure, all this kind of stuff goes to whatever I had in there. And although I did not change anything except for clarity over there, I left all these guys selected, because when I click on this camera specific, all right, my white balance will automatically go to as shot, whatever I had in the camera. My exposure is going to be at the starting point. My contrast, my highlights, my shadows, my blacks, my whites, all at the 0 point. The vibrance and saturation are at the 0 point. The only thing I've done in the basics tab is choose clarity, all right, and I increased it to plus 33. All right, so when I come to the parametric curve, I did make an adjustment there, and I wanted that, or no, sorry, not the parametric, but the point curve. All right, so the parametric curve, I wanted it to be at its default, so I chose that, but I did also choose point curve because I made a change. All right, sharpening, absolutely. Noise reduction, and this, I wanted to go back to absolute 0 when I choose this. All right, same thing with all these other guys. All right, okay. So I'm just going to cancel out here because I don't want to have that. But one thing I do want to say is when you create your camera specific one, those things that you most commonly do to your images, change in the specific tabs, and then come in here and have all these guys turned on. All right, so if you only do, as I did, a clarity, a point curve, and some sharpening, everything else is at 0, boom, Bob's your uncle, well, except for the calibration process version, well, at least calibration. Was it calibration process? I forget which one it was. Anyways, whatever it was that set it to that thing. Anyways, boom, got it. All right. If I wanted to affect only certain ones but not reset the other ones back to 0, so to speak, then I would just choose that specific one. So down here where you see white balance, and I have 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's as shot, auto, daylight, blah, 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 blah. When I created those ones, if I'm not mistaken, I only had the white balance selected. That means when I choose one of these guys, because that was the only one that was selected, from this, all right, I will not change any of those. Let's test that out. All right, so I come in here, I have my camera specific defaults. If I come back into here, you can see it's as shot, plus 33. Medium contrast, 100, all right? And over here, we've got camera standard. All right, so I come in here. That's what that is. Now, if I came in here and chose, as an example, something I want to be visually obvious in here, and that will be tungsten. All right? So now, what I want to do is I want to verify that the only thing that got changed when I clicked on this was the white balance setting in the Basics tab. So let's just go over there and see if that is a true statement. There you go. So now, the only thing that changed in the Basics tab was the white balance option. And that's because when I had that whole list of things, I only had white balance selected, nothing else. All right? See, clarity is still at 33. If I come over here, I'm still at my medium contrast, and I'm still at my 100 for that. And I come over here, and I'm still at camera standard. All right? So now, what I'm saying is when I created this guy here, I had only white balance selected. And that's the only thing I wanted to change from what I currently had chosen. In this case, it was camera specific defaults. All right. So now if I wanted to come in and change, I'm going to put this back to camera specific defaults, which was as shot. So I'm just going to come in here with that. Now it looks really warm. Holy smokes. Let's go to auto. Yahoo! All right, let's go back here. All right. I'm only changing the white balance. Everything else is staying with the camera specific defaults. Okay. So now if I wanted to come back to the point curve, and I wanted to see, all right, so now that's what that looks like using the medium. What happens if I go to the default of linear, which is nothing above or below that split line? Come in here, and theoretically you should have seen this go a little bit less contrasty. If I come over here to click on this, you see that resetting it to medium, put it back there, I can go and take out. All right, and all I'm doing is affecting contrast based on this curve right here. All right, I'm not affecting this, still at 33. I'm not affecting the sharpening. Those are there because all I'm doing is changing the point curve. All right, so I've done something similar with the split toning. All right, I've created a sepia look. Let's see. There's a sepia look. It's right, wrong, indifferent, it doesn't matter. It is a sepia look. All right, now granted, the sepia look would look better if this was a grayscale image, but that's besides the point, not necessarily the way I want to do it here. I might want to do a desaturate, then apply a sepia and all that kind of stuff, but You know, I'm saying, so here I want to set this back to its regular. There we go, I reset. So every one of these guys that you want to have a reset for that tab. All right, so I have a reset for the tone curve. I have a reset for the split toning, all right, and so on and so forth. All right, so with the exposure, I'd want to have a reset for that. For all these other ones, you always want to have a reset. So what I'm getting at is if you want to change something, everything, then you, all right, have all the tabs or all the little check boxes selected. If you only want to change something specific but not all the other things, then you, all right, do that. So one way is changing everything for a whole new look and feel. The other one is sort of a cumulative way of working. All right, but one of the key things in this all the time is to have a reset. So you can always reset one of the tabs back to their default, leaving all the other tabs alone. All right, so now the next thing that we want to do is we want to export these guys out. All right, and we could come in here and we can click on, we can come over here and choose, you know, save settings and save them out. And that's great if you remember every little thing that you've done on that tab. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where you can go in and grab these, because if I wanted to export these out and put them on the web and make them available for people to have as, you know, a freebie item, all right, I'd have to export 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So you get the idea. I'd have to export 20 of these things. Oh, good Lord, that's ridiculous. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to this guy here, and I make sure that I have all the other stuff going on. Everything else is fine and dandy. I'm just going to click Done to get out of this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where to go so you can actually go and grab all, in this case, 20, and package them up and put them on your USB and take them and put them on another drive or on another computer and all this kind of stuff. All right, so let's hide Photoshop. And we're going to come in here now where I need to go, and this is on the Mac. I do have the information for those of you on the PC world. So I'm just going to double click this, and on the Mac what we do is we go to Library. Hello, Library. All right, inside the library, and I'm going to actually just go over to this view here so we can see it progressively moving across. Open this up. So in the library, we want to go to Application Support. Then we want to go into Adobe. Then we want to come over here to Camera Raw. And then lastly, we want to come over to Settings. Now I'm going to make this go wider, and I'm going to make this go wider so we can see the whole file path. Inside my settings folder are all of my presets that I created right here. And in order to move those guys, all I have to do is click on the first guy, hold down the Shift key, grab those guys. I don't want the index.dat, so I hold down the Command key on the Mac, Control on PC to deselect that. And then holding down on the Mac, I will hold down the Option key and drag over, and that will put a copy, all right? On the PC, I might want to do a right-click copy and then a right-click paste. I could probably do that on the Mac, but I'm so used to just option dragging that that's what I do. All right, there you go. I have a sheet of paper that will appear at the end of this video that will have the file path so you can actually write it down for both Mac and PC. All right, great. Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you later.